Welcome back to the Elegant Life. We are on day 3 of the spiritual feminine spring glow up. We're glowing up from the inside out. And yesterday we were talking about being like the light. When you be like the attributes of the light, of God, of the universe, source, whatever name you give it, you resonate a certain frequency. And that frequency is in alignment with every good thing that you would want to manifest into your life. So keep that in your consciousness today as well, and every day from there on. How would the light show up in this situation? How would the light respond in this situation? How would the light be in this situation? These are the questions that a spiritual, mature woman is going to be asking herself. So let's move on now and deepen this spiritual maturity. I've heard a lot in the spiritual community over the years that we want to get rid of the ego. And I say absolutely not. The ego is one of our greatest teachers and one of our greatest gifts. The ego is a force within us that was created by the light in order to challenge us so that we can grow and expand this light that is within us. So if you ever feel triggered or within your consciousness you hear the voice of the ego, things like, "You're never going to do that because the last time you tried, it didn't work, remember?" Or things like that don't happen for you. Everybody else it happens to you, but for you, that doesn't happen. Whenever you are triggered, that means you're feeling angry, hurt, disrespected, unseen, whatever it is, or you hear the voice of the ego. This is perfect because what it signifies is that you have moved away from the light that is within you. Okay, if you have moved away from the light that is within you, you are not going to grow it, you are not going to expand it. Yet, if you are a spiritually mature woman, like we are here at the Elegant Life, then what we do is make a choice in this moment. Now, here's the choice. I get really excited, so I had to stand up for this video, okay? When you hear the ego or you are triggered, that means that there is a void of light. If there is a void of light, you have a choice in that moment to fill that void with more darkness, which is the ego, or fill that void with light. If you choose to react with ego or to allow yourself to go into the depths of being the victim, here's what happens. You have strengthened the layers that block your light. If, on the other hand, you choose to bring light into that void, what happens? You crack that hard shell, you reveal more light, and then do the process that I spoke about yesterday, where you amplify the light, you turn up the light within you. Well, now you've not only revealed the light, you have expanded it. Ta-da! Now, this is where the spiritual maturity comes in, because the ego will react quick. It comes from the unconscious mind, which is built to protect you. The ego is literally built that way. It reacts really quickly and says, "Let me fill that emptiness for you." And so it'll move your attention to whatever programming you have within you. Perhaps you're going to gravitate towards food or sugar or shopping or sex or binge watching Netflix. But what's going to happen after? Is that long-term numbness good? It can never be, because how we are wired, the very reason we are created, is to grow and expand the light. So there will be an occurrence where the light taps on your shoulder and says, remember, this is not how you wanted to live your life. Then what happens in the cycle is that you feel shame and you feel guilt. However, if you start choosing to catch that ego voice, to catch that triggering emotion of anger or hurt and say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to reveal and expand more light in myself and to remember the law that like attracts like. And when I choose the light, I am also choosing how my reality manifests. So a lot of people will have you do a lot of manifestation tricks and tips, but I'm telling you, ladies, I read hundreds of books. I watched The Secret. I did things. Certain things did start happening to me, yet the joy of them was not long lasting. I personally didn't ever feel whole. There was never the level of fulfillment that I thought was going to come from getting those things. So I was always grateful and appreciative. And then the ego starts to want more because why? That's what I've been feeding. I've been feeding the emptiness with wanting more, wanting more, wanting more. Now, is there anything wrong about wanting? No, as long as it is in alignment with your true soul's desires. The ego will make you want things because it wants validation, because it wants to be seen, because it wants to be respected. And this is up to you to really check in. Which one is it? Be honest with yourself. I've told a story on Instagram before. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, follow me over there because I'm very active. I was saying that when I first thought I wanted to write a book, the only thing I wanted to do was have it be a New York Times bestseller. Now, if that was something that was on my heart and it said, you want to reach so many people, you want to reach millions. If that was what my soul was telling me, and I could check in and say, there is nothing about wanting validation, think it's going to make me feel better about myself, then good, have that desire. But if there is, then that is a wanting from the ego. If you look at where I'm at in my life now, I have manifested everything that I wanted at a certain point in my life. And so I'm living my dream life right now. And yet I am in the process of manifesting the next phase of my life. And this next part of my life is huge. It's truly huge for me as a soul. So let me check in and see, why do I want that? This has been something since I was a little girl. This has been something that resonated with me my entire life, that just felt normal, that actually felt abnormal if I didn't have that, if I wasn't living that way. So I can check in and say, yeah, the path I'm going, that's the path I want to continue doing all the spiritual mature work that I'm talking to you about now. And I can go and say, do I want that so I can show it off, that people will think more of me if I have that? It's actually quite the opposite. I have no desire to show off or be famous or even have a lot of people know about what that life is. So it definitely comes from my soul place. Let me give you an analogy then of how this whole process works. Have you ever tasted a green banana? One that was not ripe yet, but you were just really craving a banana. And so you opened it and it was like bitter. When a banana is still on the tree, if you would taste that banana, it doesn't taste very good. But it is over time growing into a beautiful ripe banana that is sweet. And actually, even once you pick that banana, it actually continues to sweeten, isn't it? It gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter as you go on. And so I'm telling you, This is what your life starts to go like when you do this kind of work. It feels bitter. It feels hard because even that banana is a little bit hard to peel. And yet, if you keep doing the work, you become ready to receive your dreams. And then you just get to live and enjoy and relish the exquisite dream that you're living. And then your soul says to you, hey, it can get even better. And you're like, what? I don't think so. But this is what I always tell all my clients. When they have a manifestation, I'm like, welcome to the elegant life. And then I say, just wait, it gets better. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, it does. You don't think it can, but it does. This is how it happens. I'd like you to take a moment now and even please write in the comment below, can you think of a moment in your life where things seemed difficult, bitter, and yet once you worked on yourself, you actually received this sweet manifestation, or you received this life that you really, really wanted. You've experienced this in your life before. I know you have. We all have. No one has gone through their whole life when this beautiful process has not worked, because it is nature, just like the green banana. So to summarize today's teaching, and what I want you to practice for this whole day, is when you hear the voice of the ego chattering away, stop, pause, say, ooh, what an opportunity to receive more light and to expand that light so that me and my life is just glowing and resonating this light energy. And know that that energy is the energy that is going to allow you to more effortlessly manifest the life that you were destined, programmed to live. That's the elegant perspective I want you to take. That is spiritual maturity. Remember, when you hear the ego voice or you are triggered, it means that there is a dark vessel waiting to be filled. What will you fill that void with? Will you fill it with more ego and react and blame and say it's something on the outside of your life that's making this happen to you? Or will you choose to be the spiritual, mature woman who pauses and takes the opportunity to fill it with more light? And just remember how to do it. I'll put the instructions up here. Number 1, see the trigger as something that is there for you. To remember that the challenge or the trigger was put purposely into your life by the light, by God, by Source, in order to help you grow and expand the light. So you accept that it is there for you. And then you say, wow, what an opportunity. And then you identify which challenge is present for you. Is it that you are feeling jealousy? Is it that you are feeling self-doubt? Is it that you are feeling disrespected or unseen or lustful? And then turn that on the opposite and say, what would the light say? What would the light tell me? What would my higher self tell me? And you start talking that voice inside of you. For example, I used to have to do voice recordings to myself and listen to them over and over. I had to stop myself and give myself a little pep talk and say, whoa, you're feeling unseen and you're needing validation right now. And then I close my eyes and I go inside and I say, you need to validate yourself. The light validated you the moment you were created. You need to see your worth and your value. The light saw that when it created you. And just keep saying anything that you need to tell yourself, and then you bring in the light. And that is seeing that light bulb or that little spark of light inside of you, and then turning up the dimmer switcher, or just seeing that light expand so that it literally neutralizes that whole feeling and scenario, and you are just full of light. and you reside in that light for a period of time until you almost notice that your body takes a deep breath or it sighs. It does something to show you that it's done, that it's transformed, it's processed, and then you move on. I know this seems like a process, but I have practiced this a lot, that most of the time I could close my eyes and do this in about 30 seconds. So at first it might seem like a lot of effort, but like with anything, things that feel hard at the beginning, when you do them over and over, they become simple and just almost done unconsciously because they're just how you respond to things now. So that is your elegance assignment for today. Practice this today, and I'll see you tomorrow.